Participation in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, or TPP, should create favorable conditions that will boost Vietnam's textile and garment sector, but is also a challenge for these textile and garment businesses because the industry still faces big deficiencies in materials, including cotton and cloth, as well as in technology. What should Vietnamese businesses do in order to benefit most from the TPP? Our guest today, Mr. Lê Tiến Trường, Vice Chairman of the Vietnam Textile and Apparel Association, or VITAS, and first Vice President of the Vietnam National Textile and Garment Group, Vinatex, will give us a broader view on this. But first of all, let's watch our report on the opportunities and challenges that the TPP could bring for Vietnamese textile and garment businesses.
Final negotiations for the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership, or TPP, a multi-party free trade agreement, are underway between Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, the US, and Vietnam. TPP would cover over 40% of the world GDP and nearly a third of world exports. According to the agreement, 95 lines of Vietnam's garment and textile products will enjoy a tariff of 0% against the current 17.5% rate imposed on exports to the US, which accounts for 55% of Vietnam's textile and garment exports. The Garment Tent Corporation exported products valued at nearly $200,000 to the US in 2002. A decade later, in 2012, the corporation made $66 million. With the TPP in its final stages, the company realized this is a good opportunity to increase exports to the US even further.
Cái hiệp định TPP là một cái hiệp định xuyên Thái Bình Dương và có rất nhiều nước muốn được tham gia vào cái hiệp định này. Lý do vì sao là bởi vì nếu mà đạt được những cái yêu cầu của các nước mà nằm trong cái khối TPP thì cái thuế suất của các cái doanh nghiệp xuất qua lại nó sẽ được giảm và có những cái mặt hàng là với thuế suất bằng không. Thì chắc chắn là một cái lợi thế quá lớn cho các doanh nghiệp.
Before Vietnam's garment and textile industry can enjoy a 0% tariffs to the US, it will have to meet certain criteria outlined in the TPP. The TPP has set up the Yarn Forward principle, which means that textile and garment products will only enjoy preferential tariffs if the various stages of the manufacturing process, such as spinning, weaving, dyeing, trimming, and sewing, are carried out in TPP member countries. At present, garment and textile enterprises use materials mostly imported from other countries such as China and Republic of Korea.
Đối với Hòa Thọ thì cái mặt hàng hiện nay đương xuất khẩu khoảng 26 đến 27% thuế xuất vào Mỹ. Thì khi mà cái thuế xuất nó tụt xuống còn 0% thì đây phải nói là một cơ hội với một cái thị trường rộng mở và một cái cơ hội về thuế rất là lớn. Tuy nhiên, bên cạnh đấy thì chúng ta cũng không thể không nghĩ tới những cái thách thức. Đấy, đối với cái tầm ở ngành dệt may Việt Nam chúng ta hiện nay á, cái thiếu của chúng ta là thiếu về nguyên liệu. Đấy, mà chủ yếu là ở cái ngành dệt và nhuộm.
Kiếm nguồn nguyên liệu ở đâu trong 12 nước này? Đấy điều thứ nhất. Cái thứ hai, nếu như lấy nguyên liệu trong nước thì lấy ở đâu ra để cung cấp được cho thị trường? Chứ đây chính là cái lúng túng của chúng ta.
80% of materials used by most large garment exporters in Vietnam are imported from foreign countries. If Vietnam is unable to meet these requirements with other TPP members, especially those related to the origins of materials, the garment and textile industry won't enjoy the benefits of the agreement.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us today. Could you please describe briefly on the progress of the garment and textile industry in Vietnam in recent years?
You know that the textile and garment industry in Vietnam is the biggest export industry of Vietnam since 2008. Before that, it's the second largest only after crude oil. The growth rate in the last 5 years is over 12%. And last year, total export turnover achieved $17.2 billion. And then it gives the major share in many big markets such as USA, EU, and Japan. In USA, Vietnam textile products is keep a second position in the market with the market share around 7.8%. And EU and Japan, we also keep the position with third and fifth in the export countries to that market. And you know that currently the textile and garment industry in Vietnam using 1.3 million workers in the factory, and also if the supporting industry for textile and garment, totally we're using more than 2 million employees for that industry. It plays a very important role in terms of industrialization and also poverty reduction in Vietnam.
So what are the major export markets for Vietnam's textile and garment products?
Currently, we have 4 markets with export turnover over $1 billion US dollars. The largest is USA, with close to $8 billion US dollars last year, and this year maybe $9 billion US dollars, acquiring 44% of total export of textile garment from Vietnam. And second largest is EU, 27 countries with 14% of total export. And the third is Japan. Japan is 12% of our total export. And from last year, Korea also over $1 billion US dollars export turnover and around 8% of our total export turnover. And 4 biggest markets acquiring 85% of total export. It is play a very important role with the textile garment industry in Vietnam. Especially we can see that the USA is very important with us. We have the milestone in BTA in 2001. After that, only in 1 year, $1 billion US dollars export more to USA. And the second time is WTO member in 2007, 33% increase only in 1 year. And now we hope with many new FTA and especially for TPP.
So as you have mentioned, BTA and WTO membership have been big boosts for Vietnam's textile and garment exports. So what are the major requirements that these products have to meet in order to enter these markets?
The major requirement is we should have the reasonable price, speed to market, quality, and quality including the quality of product and after sales service quality and service quality also. And the last thing is the design of that. And for textile garment, for the time being, we think that we have the advantage on that.
So if the TPP is implemented, what will be the advantages for Vietnam garment and textile industry over the current conditions?
Currently, even we are the member of WTO, the average tax to US market still for textile garments still around 17%. Some kind of product, some HS, still 30%, and some only 10%. If we have TPP, including the rule of origin requirement, and we maybe if we comply with the rule of origin requirement, we will get a favorable condition on tax, and we can hope that the tax will maybe down to 0. You know, from average of 17% tax to 0 is very big part of the saving and bring the advantage to the manufacturer, distributor, expansion market, and also increase market share, and also the end user get the benefit from because of the price have a room for reduced.
How about the advantages that Vietnam's textile and garment industry will have over its current competitors such as China and Bangladesh?
China and Bangladesh they still have MFN tax because they're not a member of TPP. Different with us, the Bangladesh maybe have the tax condition for the poor countries. However, it's still higher than TPP member if we comply with the rule of origin requirement. It means that the benefit from TPP bring to the member of TPP only when we comply with rule of origin. It is very important with every manufacturer in TPP region.
So do you think that Vietnamese textile and garments enterprises can or have the ability to comply with the rules of origin?
Currently, rule of origin is still in the process of negotiation. As you know, because I'm a textile and garment industry is the biggest stakeholder of Vietnam in TPP negotiation. And then we are very carefully to study and also to follow up with the information update from a TPP round. Until 19 rounds of TPP negotiation in Brunei, August. Rule of origin of textile is every participant in try to cover as Yan Forward. It's not fully accepted of all the participants. However, Yan Forward rule is a key point during the negotiation of rule of origin. And Yan Forward is mean that only the product we have from yarn, spinning yarn, weaving, dyeing, finishing, and sewing inside TPP region, we will get the favorable condition of tax. And for Vietnam, as you know, currently we import more than 60% of fabric using for making the garment product export.
Right.
And if we are import the fabric not from TPP member,
Right.
we cannot get the benefit. It means we can see the tax benefit is very big, but comply with that, getting that is not easy.
So what will be other challenges that TPP will pose for Vietnam's textile and garment industry?
Besides of rule of origin, I think we have some other challenge. For example, that when we have the benefit from tax, maybe the order is come with a higher volume. How to certify all the customer, how to keep the time of delivery as a contract, and also the quality, and other challenges is when we have the good condition inside Vietnam, foreign investor will be think about Vietnam for investment and how to balance between the benefits of investor and benefit for the local people.
So among those challenges you have just mentioned, which are the ones that Vietnam can deal with in the short term?
I think in the short term, if we want to comply with rule of origin, the biggest issue is how to increase the ratio of local material making inside Vietnam, from spinning to weaving, dyeing, finishing. As you know, last year we have export of gray yarn. It means spinning section in Vietnam is okay. It's enough the capacity and the quality is comply with the international standard. However, weaving, knitting, and dyeing finishing is the shortage both in terms of the quantity and more important that is the quality for comply with the requirement from the international buyer who will be distribute the garment product to end user. And then in the short term, how to, as far as possible, to increase the capacity of weaving, dyeing, finishing, and knitting, dyeing, finishing is also very important with us.
Though the TPP is not yet signed, textile and garment businesses, both domestic and those built on FDI, are preparing to grasp whatever opportunities it might bring. Can all of them enjoy the benefits? And how are they preparing to make the best use of the TPP? Let's take a look.
The Viet-Thai Garment Joint Stock Company in Thái Bình Province specializes in sportswear and high-tech garments for several famous brands. As required by the partners, each garment product must be perfect from the design down to details such as buttons, zips, and even thread. These items and accessories are mainly imported from other countries, so the company finds itself in a way it will not be able to enjoy the benefits of the TPP if the situation remains unchanged.
Tôi đi sâu vào các hàng thể thao, hàng trượt tuyết, những hàng công nghệ. Đấy, cho nên là những cái ở trong nước mình tôi thấy chưa thể sản xuất được. Đấy, cho nên đa số là ở nước ngoài. Đấy, chứ còn ở trong nước mà còn như những cái hàng thô, hàng dệt thoi các thứ thì các đơn vị khác thì tôi nghĩ là ở Việt Nam mình cũng có nhưng mà không đáp ứng được là bán bao nhiêu.
Meanwhile, foreign investors are taking the lead in Vietnam's booming garment and textile sector. The Republic of Korea's Winners Vina invested in the Vietnamese industry 3 years ago. The company mainly exports their products to the U.S. market, and before the TPP is signed, they are mapping out an expansion plan for the future.
Actually, we made investment of around $12 million. And as I told you, the number of employees, 3,100 now. And the production capacity is around $40 million annually. If we succeed to make everything stable next year, then probably I could say we could expand our capacity here.
Both local and FDI government enterprises expect that the TPP be signed and come into effect in 2015. The Vietnam Textile and Apparel Association has held a series of seminars on the TPP, which attracted a number of member enterprises. Having the knowledge, the enterprises will be able to actively take steps to prepare themselves for the integration process.
Đầu tiên là chúng tôi phải tái cơ cấu lại cái hệ thống sản xuất đó, mà trong đấy đẩy mạnh vào đầu tư những cái thiết bị công nghệ hiện đại để chọn được những cái mặt hàng có giá trị gia tăng cao, Thứ hai là chúng tôi đã có cái hệ thống thiết kế, nhưng chúng tôi phải đẩy cái hệ thống thiết kế lên một bước nữa để có thể làm được tiến đến cái bước làm ODM, tức là chúng ta từ cái sản phẩm chúng ta bán cho khách hàng. Thứ ba nữa là chúng tôi xây dựng cái đội ngũ chuyên nghiệp về thị trường để chúng tôi có thể tham gia vào cái chuỗi giá trị mà trong đó cái phần phân phối của thế giới để tìm được bán đến những cái đối tác, cái nhà bán lẻ lớn trên thế giới.
Sau khi mà có những cái động thái mà đàm phán cái hiệp định TPP thì công ty cũng đưa ra một số các cái chiến lược, đặc biệt là cái chiến lược mở rộng sản xuất, tuyển dụng thêm lao động và cũng như là đầu tư vào máy móc thiết bị hiện đại để đón đầu cái hiệp định TPP. Khi hiệp định TPP ký kết thì công ty sẽ có được một cái lực lượng lao động đủ để đáp ứng được các cái đơn hàng lớn của khách hàng.
Ta phải có những cái chính sách để tăng tốc đầu tư sợi đến nhuộm. Ngoài cái việc thúc đẩy ngành may phát triển như cái định hướng thì có những cái cơ chế chính sách làm sao để mà tạo điều kiện cho các cái nhà đầu tư cả trong nước và nước ngoài. Đặc biệt là kêu gọi những cái đầu tư nước ngoài mà trong nước chúng ta chưa có khả năng.
Regardless of when the TPP negotiations are concluded, the government is calling for domestic and FDI investment in garment and textile industry to have production processes in place and material and labor sources ready to take advantage of the agreement from the outset.
Some people say that TPP will only benefit the giants of the industry or the foreign finance ones. How do you think about this?
Actually, the company who have a good financial condition will be get more benefit on that because they have a capital available for investment expansion to cope with the new order, expansion of the order, and they also have money for even the buying the technology, transfer technology from the modern company in overseas. It means that they can shorten the time of comply with the rule of origin. And for the small and medium company, each small and medium company can focus one kind of product, doing that good well, and link it together and build up the supply chain of small and medium enterprise. I think can support together to overcome the challenge of a TPP, the agreement.
So what support do the textile and garment industry need from the government?
I think that now we need to have a clear master plan for textile and garment industry. It means the government needs setting up the target for our industry 2013, even vision 2050. How much export we need? 50 billion, 60 billion, 70 billion. Which province will be doing textile and garment? The size of each province and how many people are working for textile industry in each province. And secondly, is the environment protection. We need to transparent, fairly, and strictly control between local company FDI for building up the fair environment for everybody. The third is the infrastructure. Because if we want to expansion the textile and garment to the rural area, we need to have infrastructure for connection between the rural area and the hub. And three is still we need support from the government, master plan, fair practice, and infrastructure for connection between the garment company and hub to the port.
As a TPP stakeholder, what do you think about the possibility of this agreement to be signed and implemented?
Currently, all the leader of a TPP member set the target is finish the main content of the agreement within 2013. Even the technical workload still, I think, is very, very big. But if we have a focus and have a flexible between the participant of TPP, we still have room for finish the main condition of TPP agreement this year. And for the quarter 1, quarter 2 of next year, maybe the time for complete the agreement.
Well, thank you very much for joining our program. Well, according to Mr. Lê Tiến Trường, the TPP is expected to be signed next year and take effect in 2015. Enterprises in the textile and garment sector need to be fully aware and ready to grasp the opportunities that the TPP brings. Up next is Market Makers.